President Cyril Ramaphosa is weighing his options in response to an independent panel's report, which found that he may have violated the Constitution. Ramaphosa has been engaging role players within his cabinet as well as alliance partners in light of the damaging findings against him. This is in relation to the theft of money from his Phala Phala farm back in the year 2020. At the same time, the ANC National Executive Committee is going into an urgent meeting today to map a way forward. Our reporters Athi Mtongana and Govan Whittles are following this story for us. And let's start in Parliament, and that's where the entire process would have begun earlier this week. Athi, good morning to you. So what next at Parliament level?
A very good morning to you, Goli. So the rules of Parliament, of course, allowed for this process to take place for the Speaker of the National Assembly to appoint this independent panel, which has now handed over the report back to her. The next step is for the report to make its way into the main house, the National Assembly, next week, Tuesday, where MPs will consider the report and then move to vote on the actual report. We know that many political parties have welcomed the report, and various caucuses have already studied the report, and many political parties already saying that they will vote in favor of the adoption of the report. Now, the rules of Parliament, according to the Secretary to the National Assembly, do actually provide for an impeachment committee within Parliament, which already exists, according to the Secretary to the National Assembly. He told the programming committee this week that all the House needs to do is to activate that impeachment committee, which will then be formed, of course, through various members of various political parties. Once this report has been considered in the main House, members of that impeachment committee would then be selected by the Speaker. Of course, political parties will probably have to present who they want from their ranks to be part of this impeachment committee, which will look at the prima facie evidence which has been collected by the Section 89 independent panel of experts, which, as you know and as you stated, found that the President may have violated the Constitution and may have violated the laws of the country. And so next week on Tuesday, we're expecting the main House to consider the report.
Athi Mtongana, mapping the way forward for us as far as the parliamentary processes are concerned. Let's speak now at political party level. Govan Whittles, you are in Nasrec, and that's where this emergency NEC meeting is expected to take place later today. The important question here, Govan, is that the President, how safe will he be inside that NEC, given that there have been attempts in the past to try and tell him that he needs to step aside?
Well, we're expecting even stronger attempts now from his opponents, Oli. And we thought we'd only come back here for the conference on the 16th of December, but we're back for this special NEC meeting. And by all indications, the President and his allies will have to fight for his political survival. Newzroom Afrika understanding that he convened his advisors. They were engaged in intense attempts to convince him to stay, only after there was an understanding that he intended to resign. That has since changed. The comments that we got yesterday from Vincent Magwenya, his spokesperson, that the President is considering what's in the best interest of the country, reflects that lobbying by his advisors, but also by his supporters and allies within the ANC. Newzroom Afrika understanding that a number of his allies were engaged in intense lobbying, convincing him to continue in this fight and mapping out the way forward, which includes a possible review of that independent panel report and exactly what the path looks like towards the national conference, where they still believe he stands a very strong chance of emerging again for a second term, and beyond that towards the next election. What's at stake here is, of course, the ANC's electoral support as well as the President's career within the ANC. This is the venue where that special NEC will happen. It's only scheduled for much later, but in the interim period, there is intense lobbying going on. There are a lot of discussions taking place with the president. Last night, we understand it went late into the night, those consultations, as they call it, but essentially mapping out how they will respond to this independent panel report, and how they envision the president staying on and fighting it from within the ANC, and then, of course, remaining on as the head of state. We'll be here for that special NEC meeting. We hope to speak to a few of these leaders as they come in. But, of course, as you said, the national chairperson will be speaking to you exclusively on Newzroom Afrika.